Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with your host, Rick Alexander. Today's going to be a little bit different. I feel like I say that a lot and they're not actually that much different. But essentially today what I want to do is share something that I made a while ago. So over Easter weekend, I was sort of reflecting and you're on Instagram and so you tend to get like everybody's beliefs in your newsfeed, or at least if you're me. I think there's probably a way a lot of people exist in echo chambers where they don't follow people that have differing opinions in them, but actually take the opposite approach. And I even read books that are squarely against the opinion that I have, just so that I can see what I don't see and like see something that's missing. So I thought it was interesting as I was like looking through everything on Easter weekend. And of course, there's like highly charged because there's people that hold very strong religious convictions over that weekend. And then there's also people that think it's all bullshit. And so then they share like and it's just interesting to watch the two sort of polar sides compete. And I think that takes away from the fact that for me, like redemption is the most important concept that humans have ever come up with. And I was going to re-record this video, but I kind of felt like I nailed it. So I wanted to keep it. The one thing that I wanted to say as a quick disclaimer is that the sound quality is not incredible because I recorded it just on my computer through QuickTime at a Starbucks that was pretty crowded. And so you sort of get a lot of ambient noise and people driving around. But again, I think the message is intact, and I don't know. To me, it's like a very productive way to think about this idea of redemption and why it's so important, and why you can tend to keep yourself in hell if you don't actually find some way of transcending to what comes next. And so, anyway, without further ado, I just wanted to share. This is the video I recorded about a week ago on Easter. Super important to me, though, and I think there's some great message in there. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on Morning Coffee.
If your world falls apart, I'd start a riot. If not foes in your heart, I'd light the fire. In the dark, when you sound the alarm, we'll find each other's arms. For your love, all you are, I'd start a riot. I'd start a riot.
So if you're anything like me, you've probably looked around at your life at some point, maybe most likely multiple points, and you've wondered like where it all might have gone wrong. Like you were probably at one point working hard, appeared to be well on your way toward the things that you wanted, and now looking back, it's like hard to tell where it all started to come off the rails. Or the other thing that could happen is maybe you know exactly where it all went wrong, but it's hard to tell why you even thought you could have had the life that you wanted in the first place. Like you look at yourself almost as if you were being ridiculous for the hopes that you had. So our minds are set up in a way that makes navigating the more difficult things in life even more difficult. When things go wrong or don't work out, the first thing that you have to understand about your brain is that it needs to know why. Though one thing we cannot do is operate without psychological coherence. Often, in the absence of answers, our brain will confabulate something to explain what has happened, and it will lie to our conscious minds about that thing. And it's not to be vindictive, that's ridiculous, even though it does feel like that sometimes, but rather it's because it literally can't operate without coherence. I say this a lot in my show, but in your brain, 1 + 1 + 1 always has to equal 3, and if it can't, it will figure out a reason why, essentially. And all this happens in what appears to be a split second, so making our reason for that thing seem even more real. But in reality, it's happening outside of our awareness, this confabulation, and like a recess of our brain that we don't have access to. I.e., we're built to fill in the gaps of what we don't understand in a very quick way. Not a beneficial way, and that's what matters. See, your past life experiences, your intellect, and your understanding of the current situation will largely be the determining factor behind the reasons that you give yourself for why things go wrong. So, this psychological coping mechanism might make you feel better in the moment, but it's certainly not guaranteed to help you navigate reality any better. If you've been listening to me for a while, then you know that I'm a firm believer in the fact that we as finite beings we're not always privy to complex answers. And this matters immensely because when things go wrong, there's always something that's happening that you don't know about. That applies to both catastrophically wrong and slight changes that make it just really hard to know where your life started to come derailed. That's why amidst hard times, even though you might want to label it as a suckfest, you have to admit to yourself that this is actually a lot of things. Is it bad? Of course. Does that mean it's going to set you up for a bad future? Of course not. See, that's why you say this is a lot of things. And just saying that to myself truthfully has been like, it's a bit of a game changer when you're in hard times, because you want to be like, this sucks, or this is a lot of things. You don't actually know what this is, because all of your possible futures haven't manifested for you to actually know. So, all right, now back to the brain. When we find ourselves in tumultuous times, whether it's like I can't believe they did that, can't believe they left me, can't believe I didn't see it coming, or whether it's like more akin to a low-level dissonance or an existential dread, you see that a lot, as you don't really recognize your life path as authentic or truly yours. In all of these cases, our brain simultaneously does two things. So it's like, it doesn't matter if it's like an acute pain or it's like you're just sort of trying to figure out like, why am I not super satisfied with things right now? So the first thing that it does is it blames itself to find answers. So when things fall apart, we're often struck by horrible guilt. And we all of a sudden recognize every single thing that we did wrong, which contributed to the adverse situation. That's why even if you've ever been like broken up with, you realize in that moment you become hyper aware of all of your shortcomings, and it's awful. You're just like, you instantly are like, damn, I know exactly what I did wrong. And sometimes those are far-fetched, and sometimes those are in reality, but it's no longer hidden from your awareness. So that's like the first thing we do when things go wrong. The second thing we do is make subconscious decision to protect ourselves from going forward. So we make a pact with ourselves essentially so that we don't repeat whatever hell we find ourselves in right now. And when people say they have walls up, that's essentially what they're referring to. Now, we're not going to talk about this right, but so a wall can keep things in and out, right? So you're actually keeping your best life from you when you have a wall up, even though you're protecting yourself. So I'm not going to go too far into these, as I do a lot of shows on them, but I wanted to say to you today that your brain does that automatically. It will try and protect itself without even consulting you about it. And that's why the idea of redemption matters. And that's honestly why I'm dropping this video today. See, regardless of your belief system, the idea of redemption is the most powerful concept in our world. Humans, in their searching, realize that their own brain has a propensity to keep them trapped in their own negative circumstances. And because humans always have a narrative, at some point, whether you believe it was divine or not, we came to the conclusion that we had the ability to change ours to something that was actually beneficial. And so I think today we should, maybe just take stock in the idea that humans have the ability to be down and out, and that in no way does that mean that they're down and out. Like, the idea that you can be redeemed regardless of what you've blamed yourself for in the past has to be the thing that defines our existence. Like, I think that it has to be. I honestly don't even see where we have a choice in that. Like, you call it a phoenix, call it Jesus, call it a comeback, whatever your thing is, man, you have to recognize that redemption is in your future, and that there's nothing more powerful than the idea that you don't have to be defined by what's gone wrong. We have this odd default setting that is so easily relied on. But the incredible thing in life is that we have a choice. You can rely on the default, the survival mechanisms, the small, the meek, or you can choose expansion. You can choose hope. Hands down, the most incredible mindset available to humans today, hope. Hope that for you tomorrow, things can be different. And you can choose to adopt the belief that the best is yet to come. And the most incredible thing about our lives is that if you really believe that for your life, it actually makes it true. So I just want to say that regardless of what this day means to you, I hope that you understand redemption, it's the most powerful concept in our world, and that it's one which is available to you. Humans have shown over and over again that we absolutely do not have to settle for our future being a reflection of our past. Like, we can fuck up, we can do things that don't even make ourselves proud, we can place blame on ourselves or on someone else if it makes us sleep better at night. But at the end of the day, we can choose hope. We can choose rebirth. And we can choose not to let ourselves live in the hell of what's gone wrong. You know, it's certainly not easy. It's honestly not even that clear on how. But as long as we're here, as long as we're breathing, I honestly don't even see where we have a choice. Like, we have to choose hope. We have to choose redemption, because as long as we pursue that, we get to believe that what will come is so much more important than what's transpired. And that's the only road forward. I don't know, as far as I can see. I really don't see where we have a choice. And so I want to end with a Shannon Adler quote, who was an author. So, when someone you love dies, you're given the gift of second chances. Their eulogy is a reminder that the living can turn their lives around at any point. You're not bound by the past. That's who you used to be. You're reminded that your feelings are not who you are, but how you felt at that moment. Your bad choices defined you yesterday, but they're not who you are today. Your future doesn't have to travel the same path with the same people. You can start over. You don't have to apologize to people that won't listen. You don't have to justify your feelings or actions during a difficult time in your life. You don't have to put up with people that are insecure and want you to fail. All you have to do is walk forward with a positive outlook and trust that God has a plan that is greater than the sorrow that you left behind. And the people of quality that were meant to be in your life won't need you to explain the beauty of your heart. They already understand what being human is. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions during rainstorms and sunshine, sprinkled with moments when you can almost reach the stars. I feel like that describes this human experience perfectly. And so I'm saying all of this to be like, man, it's so easy to get in the trappings of your mind and the feedback loops and the metacognition, and you're analyzing your own thoughts and you try to think your way out of situations. And I know how easy it is to feel like what has happened is the thing that's going to define what does happen going forward. But I think that's why I think it's important that we have holidays like today. Like, I think that we have to celebrate things. Like, I was at a wedding yesterday and I thought about this a lot, and I was like, man, it's super important that humans have things that they celebrate and milestones, and just like it's symbolism, right? It's like hope personified. That's why we have days like this. That's why we take stock in our time and we don't just let all of our days run together in endless monotony, because we have to stop every once in a while and understand that what's going to come is so much better than what we've gone through. Even if what we've gone through isn't that bad, the idea of redemption, I think it's the most powerful thing that humans have ever figured out. And regardless of your religious beliefs, your whatever you think, whatever theological slant you have or don't have, honestly, that's not even what I'm talking about. I just think that to understand that you have hope that tomorrow can be better than yesterday, I don't know. I think that's the most important thing in the world.
Oh, take